got it right.
He did it.
Let's go. I like how we act like that every show, and it's like it's been 47,
43.
43 of them.
Yeah, but like 44 of them were screwed up.
So we don't we could expect him to do it, but we don't know what order it's going to do it in.
This is how I know I'm going to hell, because that was like when he said he screwed up more than he made. I was like, that's a Ocean Gate track record.
Why is it like half? It was like half frozen.
Because when I put it in the freezer, I tilt it outside so I have room for water.
He has. Oh, that's smart.
Was it already partially drank?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought it was full.
Oh no, this is from a couple months ago.
I thought it was full. That's why I was like, how did that do that?
Nick only drinks landscape mode ice, not portrait mode.
It's like that.
So.
It's like when I left my computer on, but it was really cold in here over the weekend in the winter. And remember I had that condensation on one half of the bottle towards the computer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
that was trippy.
Because it wants to go to the warmer.
I thought you were talking about that one time when you left your computer on and then it ended up on a freaking Linus video when I came into the office next day.
Yeah, and then
imagine
music.
Imagine opening up like a completely closed down shop, all the lights are off and everything, and you just hear like Linus's voice all muffled coming from the office. I'm like, oh my god, we're like,
is Linus here?
It's haunted.
Yeah.
We're all haunted. I'm gonna die. No one else is here yet.
Studio's possessed.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Studio's possessed. Studio's possessed.
Well, that was when you heard that crazy church choir music. Too.
Yeah, that was a different day.
Weird too.
That was a different day. So it started off with the Linus thing.
Somehow my particular YouTube algorithm for my viewership, like being a viewer, somehow went from Linus to the Mormon Tabernacle Choir.
No, that was a different day. That was
okay. How many days did this happen?
Twice. So we had a Linus haunting and then a Mormon Tabernacle Choir haunting because the same thing happened. Like I got here, all the lights are off, and you just hear like choir music, which is even creepier.
It's just weird. Like if you just let it autoplay, it goes to some weird places.
I've definitely woken up to some weird like how did my algorithm get here?
Yeah, and because you let it go there, it got all screwed up.
I know that's the worst part. I wish you could just be like erase last 6 hours of like algorithms so that it's on track, because it's like if I put something on to sleep, I'm obviously not caring about the other stuff that it's gonna watch afterwards.
Imagine all that phasmophobia and you still want to investigate the hauntings on your computer.
Yeah, because he's not level 1 billion in real life haunting.
Best I can do is a can of salt.
You just grab like 6 random sticks from outside and throw it at him. Like, I smudged him, guys.
Someone in chat said the on-air sign is still on the desk. Did I ever say I was taking it off? I think I remember leaving it there because people were triggered by it. So I was like, it's never moving now.
Yeah. Yeah. And because so many people first were like, is it live? Like constantly. And
nope.
No, we're not. This isn't live. And you're not
technically y'all are seeing it about 20 seconds after we say it. So
yeah.
It's not live. It's
dang, the moon gets better ping.
Yeah.
than the broadcast away. Jeez.
Mm-hmm. That makes you think, are we on the moon?
No, the moon's outside, stupid. Go look outside. Right now, it's a daytime moon.
See, the moon landing was fake. If they had better ping during the moon landing than we do now on our live broadcast.
When I look at the sky in the daytime and I see the moon in the blue sky, why isn't the sky blue on the moon?
Yeah, if people actually took that same logic and applied it to everything, it's just like
there's no stars in the moon landing video.
Dude, JayzTwoCents is fake. I've never seen him in real life. He doesn't exist.
It's because when you're in this instance, all lighting is rendered for the assets outside.
Yeah,
if you're on the moon, it'll render for when you're on the moon, but you're not. So that's why you get the blue.
You gotta turn your draw distance. God.
Well, it's like because the background is static, the moon never moves.
Yeah, because it's just part of the skybox.
Skybox.
See, if it's
cool
flat,
word.
it should have been the sky square. What the heck, guys?
But box is a square.
No, because square is still not flat. It's not like just a plane.
I think you're thinking of cube. Square is flat.
Yeah,
square is two-dimensional. Cube is
cube. Or you know what? I'm starting it right now. Cube Earth.
Cube Earth.
Cube Earth. The problem is, I'm blaming Marvel. I'm blaming Marvel. Because you know how many people looked at Asgard and they're like, yeah, you know what? That's what the Earth is like.
Oh my God, yeah, you're right.
You just watch to the edge of Asgard and look out into the cosmos.
I didn't think about the fact that Asgard is literally flat Earth. Yeah.
Well, it was. It didn't
you're right. Yeah.
It got blown up.
Yeah.
Even their ship was flat.
The debris was flat. The freaking black hole was flat.
Oh man,
that's funny.
I forgot to bring up the doc because this is such a professional show. This is week 2 of actual like technology topics.
Yeah.
Weird. Don't get used to it. Don't get used to it. I don't know. Maybe you should.
I know it's not. It feels like it's starting to feel like an actual
work.
No. I was gonna say like every other stereotypical tech show, which is obviously like we're not in the danger of like falling into that trap, but like
you will never be a real show.
Yeah, exactly.
What are you talking about?
Because we don't want to be.
This is a real show. Crap.
Because it's more fun this way.
You'll never be a real show. I'm a real boy.
We're about as real as the moon and birds.
I believe it's pronounced mun.
The mun. Yeah.
Speaking of which, has Kerbal 2 come out yet?
Yeah, it's been out.
It's been out.
Oh, that's right. But you said it was really buggy.
Yeah, and it's still really buggy. And now I'm like,
so disappointed.
I know. Yeah, it's like I'm like it's slowly. Okay, I don't want to say it's Battlefield 2042, but it's starting to lean that way, and then it's scaring me. So that's my
lean that way in what sense? It's not getting support. Like they're not. They're just so far from their roots, or what?
Like wobbly rockets is still a problem, and it's like it's been that way since first early access.
Oh yeah, because you mean like how all the sections of it will just bounce around and stuff?
But that's a physics engine issue.
Yeah.
And like they need to fix that before they keep adding like quality of life stuff, because it's like the most worrying thing about it to me is that starting to see the community talk about it.
Yeah.
Starting to see like all the KSP YouTubers being like, hey, this shouldn't be a problem anymore. Like the rockets in KSP 2 are literally less stable than they are in 1, which means the game itself.
Which is funny because the physics didn't change.
Yeah.
So why couldn't the physics?
I believe what was going on under the hood is that KSP KSP 1 would auto strut invisibly for you.
Right.
And so you could add struts manually too, but it would do like invisible smaller struts. I think that was their patch as far as their physics engine is concerned to make the rocket more stable, whereas KSP 2 doesn't. And like I don't know why they don't just do the same thing they did with KSP 1, but apparently it's on a different engine or something.
Slightly different version.
I don't know. Yeah, you know, the usual game dev reasons as to why you can't just implement something. But anyway, yeah, the biggest concern is that like it's a regression compared to the first game, which is obviously not a good thing.
Yeah.
Like, you know, the 2 game needs to be
like
better
graphics
than 1.
updates aren't enough to carry a sequel.
And you know, I'll admit that was primarily the reason that I picked it up for early access. Secondly, because you know I'm curious and I like the game and everything. But yeah, the graphics look good, but it's like, dude, it's not fun when you lose a mission.
Yeah, who cares if they look nice if you look like a wobbly noodle going into the sky?
No, it's just like even worse things. Like say you've already made your planetary transfer, right? And you're already in orbit around a different planet or whatever. And then the physics engine decides to screw that save up, right? And it's like, dude, when you're that long into a mission or whatever, and you're like, now I got to go back to my quick save, which could be 2 hours if you're not paying attention, you know?
Yeah.
Like that sort of stuff is just really frustrating as far as the actual game is concerned.
That's too bad.
Yeah. So
I had a lot of fun. Kerbal
was-
Space Program 1 was great because it was literally like all my first rockets are still saved on there, and to watch the progression of them.
Yeah,
the first one is always shaped like genitalia. The first one is always shaped like genitals, and then from there you just build upon it.
Yep. And then you strap some SRBs to a SRBs to an SR-71, and then.
Oh yeah. We were just trying to fly with thrust vectoring.
I love how we could barely take it off at first because they were on top, so they were like pitching it down into the ground. But and I think part of the magic of KSP 1.
Whose foot is that?
Not mine.
Oh, it's touching someone's foot. Who the hell's under there?
Is it my cable?
Okay, maybe the cable. I don't know. Playing footsie with a cable.
If
the stream suddenly goes down, y'all know why.
Yeah, like everything turns black.
Oh no.
No, it's the magic of learning rocket science without knowing that you're learning rocket science. Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? Because that's what the devs said about that first game. They were like, we want to teach you rocket science without teaching you rocket science. Like you're going to learn because you want to. Because you want to continue to do stuff about the game, you know what I mean? And Jay even knows what Delta V is now and like what a transfer orbit is. I don't know if he can do it yet, but
oh no, I can't do it. I know what it is, but I can't do it.
Yeah, exactly. But you know what I mean? Like that's like a concept that normal people don't necessarily need in their life.
Yeah.
Like you're not going to learn that unless you go out of your way to learn that sort of stuff. But then that game successfully tricked a bunch of people into learning rocket science, and it's pretty cool.
I think I'm still impressed with BattleBit. It's like it's fun still. I play it
That's dope.
like every other night now.
Someone in chat said that Titanfall 2 is getting a resurgence. Have you seen this?
Whoa.
Oh yeah. They call it like it's called North Star, Titanfall North Star. It's basically like a patch to move it away from the EA servers. So it's considered I call it a mod. I'm pretty sure someone argue it's a total conversion mod, but it brings back the Titanfall 2 multiplayer, but now there's additional options and whatnot. And
Oh, so you're not stuck with the options of whatever the server owner.
yeah, it's not EA servers anymore. So they moved it into a different what do you call it, browser server. You could
So it's community run servers now.
yeah.
Holy crap! They actually end of life the game correctly.
It wasn't from EA though.
Okay.
It sounds like it was a rogue project.
Yeah,
But it's a pretty cool road project. I
that makes
haven't
sense.
played it myself yet. I've my friends and I've always talked about it, but we never scheduled hey, let's play it together kind of deal. So.
This like random tangent, but this sort of goes down the path of I hate how when a game company decides to end of life a game, they don't just put the game anywhere for download for free or something like that. You know what I mean? Or like if it's a multiplayer game, they don't either open source the servers or at least just give us the freaking exe to run on our own computer and then host the server for our friends and stuff. This isn't a new problem, but God, it pisses me off that you can't even enjoy an old game. I can go and get an N64 and GoldenEye right now, but I can't get Driver San Francisco for Steam.
Yeah.
Unless you've already had it to your account.
Yeah, but I can watch Jay play it on Steam on the computer. So
I haven't tried doing is loaning it to you.
Oh, right, like the family sharing.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'd have to just join your family.
I don't have any room.
Yeah.
Family.
Family.
Sorry, family's full.
Family. Dude, that's what Dom says to people.
To my understanding, though, North Star took off because it was a whole issue with that server being DDoSed.
Yeah, I heard about that.
When Apex Legends came along and EA wasn't doing anything about the Titanfall servers.
So the Titanfall fans were super pissed that Apex came out and basically wasted what the effort for Titanfall 3 went to.
Yeah.
And then they DDoSed the freaking Titanfall servers.
The problem with Titanfall is Titanfall 2 existed around the time that Battlegrounds started.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah. That was
Battle Royales.
That was what killed it for sure. The timing of its launch. It's like when you launch a movie next to The Dark Knight. It's dude, if you launch any movie within the same month as that, it's you're screwing yourself.
You mean like Barbie and Oppenheimer?
I know. I love that. You see that meme right with the two shirts combined together. Yeah. One guy actually made it real. He actually sewed it. He got a Barbie shirt, a Barbie promo shirt, and an Oppenheimer promo shirt, and cut it down the middle and sewed them together. So it says Barbenheimer. Oh, and it even says only in theaters, and then the date for Oppenheimer. Because it was just because people were already making jokes about how the people watching Barbie next to the theater, people watching Oppenheimer, and then it was Kool-Aid Man and explosion memes and stuff because nukes. Apparently, what's his face filmed or simulated a nuke explosion or something like that. Did you guys hear about that?
No.
They apparently they went ham as far as method acting for the explosions in Oppenheimer. So it might. I've heard it be oh, he used a real nuke, but I'm pretty sure that's not actually the thing. Probably because there's 10 bajillion laws around that.
Yeah.
But I mean, if there's buzz about a movie explosion, then I'm assuming he probably used a lot of conventional stuff.
Yeah, practical effects.
Yeah, all of it.
all of it.
All right, the pyro guy gets there. All right, so what do you need? All everything in your truck, and then also call your best friend and get his truck.
It reminds me of the biggest explosion they ever did in Mythbusters with that dump truck,
dude.
And it sounded just sounded like space tour.
Yeah, yeah.
The dump truck or the cement mixer?
The cement mixer.
Yeah,
that's what it was.
Cement mixer. Yeah,
dude.
Okay.
Yeah, it's crazy to
that one literally got them in trouble with the county, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Because people miles and miles and miles and miles and miles away were complaining about a sound. And the building shaking.
Windows
yeah.
Dude, it's so crazy to me. That explosion is so powerful that it doesn't even look that cool because the truck is just there and then it's not. It's literally vaporized. There is no bit of that.
Because then they just fill the cement mixer part with explosives.
And cement. It was half full of cement and half full of explosives. And then, dude, there wasn't a bit of that.
Well, there's an example of what a bunker would look like exploding. I mean, bunker busters were a thing, right?
I watched a I think it was a Slow Mo Guys episode where they blew up a toilet and like
I blow up toilets.
yeah, yeah. But I mean, but
That remind not to cut you off, but that reminds me of that guy that got the police called on in Home Depot. It was on the news. The guy walked into the Home Depot public restroom and said, "Y'all better leave because I'm fixing to blow this shit up."
Oh, and they thought it was they like literally
so
thought
like I don't know. Apparently the police were called. They detained him or whatever. And one of the witnesses like said he was giggling. Like the guy he himself was giggling. He's like, "Yeah, I knew what he meant." But some lady walking by was like, "They're gonna blow up the Home Depot."
Yeah.
And she got
it said like I remember reading that article and it said like the cops were laughing.
But the exact quote was, "I'm fixing to blow it up."
Yeah.
Literally told everyone to leave the restroom. Oh man,
That's
see
so
how slang can get so many like resources and stuff that are unnecessary involved.
Yep.
Speaking of getting people involved, the headline on this story we're going to kick it off with. Basically, Nvidia is allegedly threatening their partners about being a part of Battle Mage, which is Battle Mage, which is the code name for Ark's successor. So take it away, Phil.
So basically, yeah, Nvidia is just like, hey, if you guys work with Intel on their second gen stuff, no more Nvidia for you. Which is like, bruh, like why do you have to?
Are they that scared?
Why do you have to be? Yeah,
I honestly don't think it's scared. I think it's just trying to stifle the market through just limiting their ability to even create GPUs in a mass production, like a mass majority, right?
Oh, so you think they're doing it? They're strong arming this like as a knowing tactic, as in like, you know what I mean? Like we can probably get away with this anyway at the end of the day. So
intimidation.
I'm surprised, honestly, that Nvidia would even care, based on what we talked about last week. And how much their business just is not around desktop graphics. It's not around gaming. It's not around that. I think this is still that beef that went down between Intel and Nvidia back in like 2010. I don't know if you guys recall. Nvidia and Intel basically had a falling out where there was supposed to be a merger/partnership between the two back in like the late 2000s, early 2010s. Like I think it was like 09, 2010 era.
Was it around the same?
It was definitely during Sandy Bridge era. I remember that.
Okay, so it was also around the same era where Nvidia was dealing with like the Mac stuff, where they're like, all their chips were getting recalled or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there was supposedly supposed to be a merger / a collaboration amongst the two, because I think this is when Nvidia wanted to start trying to get into computing,
right?
Not just GPU and computing, but like CPU as well. And Intel was basically like, nah, bro, no, you know.
So they've been at that for a while, because I remember when they bought ARM, I was kind of like, why do they want like CPUs?
I think this is honestly just
despite.
I think Jensen still has his panties in a bunch.
Yeah,
I do. I really do. He probably has leather panties. If you want to know the truth, he probably has leather panties underneath his
like double stitched and freaking handmade,
double-breasted leather panties.
I don't think that's where the breasts go, Jay.
Hey, everyone has breasts, male and female.
I know,
okay?
but they don't go in the panties unless they're unless they're sagging a lot.
It's like the meme.
Just pull them up really far. I don't know.
Lift your skirt up. I want to see.
My point is, I think this is personal.
Yeah,
I think it's personal because I don't think Intel. Look, I don't think Intel's Arc series currently has
is a threat.
Any sort of a fiscal effect, like a financial effect on Nvidia or AMD at all. I really don't think so.
It's like literally a blip on the radar, but the radar op doesn't even care enough to tell anyone because it's just whatever. It's just a dot there.
Sorry, the radar's been jammed.
Yeah,
I'd like to think it's because they somehow have some sort of insider tip that Battle Mage is going to be really good.
Well, isn't the Intel Arc team like made up of a bunch of ex-Nvidia people?
And AMD.
Yeah, but
remember, you got Tap. Tommy Peterson.
Yeah, he was the Nvidia dude, right?
He was one of their engineers.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he was very much
G-Sync
involved.
Guy, right? No, SLI guy?
He SLI for sure.
Yeah, okay.
That was his pet project for many years. But Tap is a wealth of knowledge.
Yeah.
And he brings a lot of knowing how NVIDIA operates and their ideology behind GPU construction and manufacturing. But they also have, Raja Katori.
Yeah.
Who was maybe not as successful in AMD in the sense of he took a gamble on something that turned out to be a flop.
Yeah.
But still, in terms of engineering knowledge,
he's not dumb. Yeah.
No, it was a gamble of something that was like too soon, not ready too soon. Market, it didn't make a difference for the market in terms of like the way HBM went.
No, I was just thinking like that just made me realize that it's probably more so that you're right. It is a grudge or like a
I think it's a grudge.
spite.
I really
because like that would probably piss him off even more knowing that like some of his old team, especially Tap, somebody that big at Nvidia,
The thing was,
Intel
the thing was some of these Nvidia employees that left and went to Intel, sort of did so under a non-compete clause. And it's my understanding, and this is all completely off the record, third party, cannot confirm nor deny, et cetera,
even this.
who
Okay,
said.
like just to be clear, even this article is not a confirmed thing. It is a rumor.
It is a rumor, but the next article, some of the other articles I read about Battlemage also sort of corroborate this.
Yeah.
But anyway,
And again, we wouldn't put it past Nvidia.
it was my understanding through some conversations that some of the folks that went to Intel did so against a contract that they had with Nvidia.
Right.
The thing was, there was a lot of depends on whether or not NDA/non-compete clauses in employment contracts can be enforced depending on the state at which it was written in or is being enacted in, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Lots of weird moving parts there. So I think it was one of those things NVIDIA just chose not to pursue,
Even
saying,
though they
hey,
could,
you signed this paper saying you won't go to work for a competitor within a certain amount of years. Because they can't say you can't do that forever. Sometimes it's up to 10 years from what I understand.
Dude, that's so much.
But maybe this is a roundabout way of them just trying to, I don't know. NVIDIA, I would think to myself, does NVIDIA want to lose their own board partners? But hell yeah, because they're in business against them. The only MSRP cards are NVIDIA cards for the most part.
You're right.
An NVIDIA Founders Edition card at MSRP is going to be better than a Ventus 2 or whatever, blah, 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 vanilla flavor is.
Dual or like a, if EVJ was still around, like a black or something
For
like
the
that.
win.
So
No, For the Wins are high ahead.
No. You're thinking of like XC.
Yeah.
XC would be like the...
Yeah, XC black or something like that.
Right. So you now have more allocation for yourself that you're not selling. And I think NVIDIA for the GPU market in terms of gaming would be perfectly fine with just...
NVIDIA being the only NVIDIA card manufacturer, yeah.
They'd be fine with that.
Yep.
I really do believe so.
Yeah, like if there was no other concerns and NVIDIA could flip that switch tomorrow, they would, for sure. They would instantly become the only NVIDIA card manufacturer.
Yeah, just how Apple is the only Apple manufacturer.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, they contract out with like Foxconn and other people.
Yeah, of course. But so are graphics
they
cards.
but Apple branded is the only branding for anything Apple product.
Yep.
And I think NVIDIA would perfectly be okay with that.
Yeah, because NVIDIA has a bit of an Apple crush, huh? They really kind of like...
Yeah, Jensen really is just in the shadow of Apple.
Or he's a Steve Jobs crush guy.
Maybe more like Tim Cook, to be honest.
No, actually, you're right. Yeah, because Tim Cook is obviously...
Steve Jobs is a visionary.
Yeah, Steve Jobs
and
is a visionary
he was very much like a free spirit kind of a deal.
Yeah,
whereas Tim Cook is definitely the very poised and very polite and quiet up front, but behind the scenes, I've heard can be like a complete tyrant.
Because he's very operational. I mean, obviously, he was the COO before Steve Jobs passed. So it makes sense that one, he would be CEO, and two, it makes sense that he would be very, logistics oriented.
Right.
So yeah, I feel like, it's like if Steve Jobs was the wind in the sail, then Tim Cook was the actual rudder, not the dude on the rudder. He was the rudder because he's just that good. He's the reason why you can pre-order an iPhone and then on launch day it ships from China to your doorstep and arrives on time. Like that's insane to me that sort of logistics, and it's because Apple has warehouses over there,
right? And they have ridiculously discounted shipping rates with FedEx, so they can ship it 2 day from China. Yeah, and then because it's Apple and all this stuff apparently goes through like pre-customs.
Well, that's the crazy thing is so their warehouse over there is U.S. territory.
So
the border crossing happens before Apple ships it from China.
That's why there's never any delay there.
Exactly, and so that's how it can go straight from a boat there or a plane there.
It goes on a plane. It's FedEx planes,
which blows my mind because that's a frick ton of lipos.
But you cram them all in one plane, you only have one incident.
Yeah, exactly. But isn't that the stupid thing? Yeah, and especially 99 watt hour limit, right? It's like, what if I bring 2 batteries? That's fine. So I can carry 198 watt hours on board.
As long as they're not connected.
Yeah, it's like, this is fine and this is fine, but...
No.
Illegal.
No, that's actually still legal.
Yeah, you're right, because it's transferred.
Yeah.
Well, it's like how the drum or FPV guys bring their batteries on flights too. Like they have like lipo bags, specifically for the lipos.
Flip side for random people traveling and deal with lipos and cameras all the time, you can actually use it as an excuse to carry on the bag instead of having it get checked, because obviously they always try to do that when
they don't want it down in the cargo area where someone can't see that it's
we've had to pull that card too, because they're like, no, you're gonna have to check that. I was like, no, you're gonna have to find me an overhead spot. And they're like, what are you talking about? I was like, I just opened it. This Pelican happened to be like all battery. I was like, yeah, and he was like, oh. Okay.
It's like, do you want to keep it up front with you?
Yeah.
Because it's not going below.
What doing?
It's like, I mean, I could check it.
Here's the reality, though. I don't know. Do planes have a proper extinguisher to put out a lipo fire?
Probably not in the cargo hold.
No, I'm talking about even in the cabin.
I mean, they don't have lipo fire specific stuff.
Do they just have a steel box they can toss it in? I don't know. Like.
Yeah, but I mean, but like the idea is that because if you're close enough to it, you could at least put it in somewhere where it would be a better situation than just
all
a
I'm
fire
thinking is
unattended.
all I'm thinking is the first thing you're gonna do is you're gonna drop it. The carpet, is synthetic fibers.
I would hope that that's flame retardant, but I don't know. I don't know if they make flame retardant carpet.
They do, of course. Just like that's why there's also fire rated drapery.
Oh, right. That's the whole ASTM thingy. Right?
That's why
like,
you can't.
See all the...
That's why technically you can't just take a blanket and hang it in the window and call it curtains. Like if, in a commercial space, if the fire department came and saw that, they'd be like, "Yo, that fire marshal's gonna write you a ticket for that," you know, because it has to be flame rated. Yeah,
that's weird to think about. That like there's so many like standards that we're completely unaware of, like that keep us safe. Like how many materials in a modern house are flame retardant now?
Someone said you were already in a steel box. No, planes are aluminum. Planes are aluminum for corrosion reasons.
Oh my God, could you imagine how heavy a 747 would be out of steel? Dude.
People realize that planes are aluminum? Huh. I guess today they learned.
A 7000 series aircraft aluminum. You always hear that getting bragged about in products and stuff.
Oh yeah, like knives and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, it's a very strong alloy of aluminum.
So that's if you guys have ever heard like aircraft aluminum or spacecraft aluminum or whatever like that, that's all they're saying is that it's a very strong version of aluminum because it has to be very light as well.
And it looks pretty on the brochures.
Yeah, exactly.
So here's some clarification here. This comes from PNW SciTech in chat. He sounds like a person that would know. He says the issue with planes is lipo in the cargo bay is unpressurized, which allows the lipos to bloat. Cabin's pressurized, so it's like a Coke can, right?
Yeah.
Right? So what happens if you ever gone to the mountains with like 2-liter soda bottles or cans? You ever heard that?
And bag of chips.
No, the bag of chips will usually just blow up but not explode. But I remember one time when I was in Boy Scouts, we had in the back of the truck, we had just like from Costco or Sam's Club, whatever, we had cases of sodas and like 2-liter bottles and cans. As we were going up the mountain, we were going to like a 7,000 foot altitude. The closer we got, we just heard, what was that? And in the back, we were saying, like flying out of the truck. We're like, what the heck is that?
Popcorn chips, dude.
So from that moment forward, we always bought the Cokes and supplies in the mountains.
Yeah.
Which is funny because I'm like, how do they get them up the mountains?
No, I'm like tripping. I'm like,
do they?
I guess next time I go to the mountains and I bring my drone, I'm gonna kind of look at the batteries and see if they puff up a little. Because I've never actually looked at that.
Yeah, but you're talking mountain altitude versus 40,000 feet.
Yeah, you're right. That's like 4 times, right?
Yeah. There's a lot less atmosphere up there.
Yeah.
So that pressure inside the battery is going to be much higher than outside.
Right.
So
Then once it pops, it's exposed to oxygen.
It is the opposite of what happened to Ocean Gate.
Yeah.
Okay. It's literally the pressure inside is greater than
they
outside.
went in the opposite direction.
Yeah, they went up instead of down.
Because usually planes don't go underwater.
They do once if it happens.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And if you do it really smoothly, then you get a documentary made about you called The Hudson or whatever.
There's a bottling plant in the mountains. I'm pretty sure our mountains do not have a Coca-Cola or a Pepsi bottling plant. Like knowing our mountains, I'm pretty sure that's not the case.
I feel like that is
making it at the atmosphere.
Realistically, I think it has also a lot to do with the speed at which you're ascending.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's why the trucks are always going slow.
But the crazy part about the 2-liter bottles is they didn't explode, but they sure as heck like stretched out.
Yeah.
You know how like they usually have this nice kind of a taper to the bottleneck, and then you had that little flat disc. It was stretched out to where it was like pushing on the disc. We all were like, I'm not opening that.
It's like a bunch of guys staring at a spring compressor, and it's just like, you hit it. No, you hit it, bro.
Yeah.
I want to keep my
Stand
arm.
back, I got this.
Yeah.
Just walking with the EOD suit.
I know.
Just like,
An EOD bot.
It'll be like
It just has a needle. Yeah, because the amount of pressure that bottle was under up there, like it would just rip open.
Yeah,
It would
that's
be
crazy.
bad.
I didn't even think of the pressure thing. That makes sense.
also, common sense will tell me to put the lipos in a lipo bag, at least like minimum, and before putting it in like a.
Yeah, but dude, how many
Pelican.
Dude, people don't know what a lipo bag is.
I mean, if you spend your time long enough, like we've done airsoft.
No, I know,
and-
but I'm saying like a normal person, but like because the lipo is a much more everywhere technology than the lipo bag is what I'm saying.
Meanwhile, we're jamming as many of them as we can in cars.
That's
And
so
bashing
dangerous.
them into
Dude,
things.
That's so dangerous. Why would you fly your 5-inch with an exposed battery like that? That's so dangerous. Why are you driving a Tesla while
I
sitting
know.
on a battery? Just like
Seriously, you're sitting on 7,000 of these. Like what you're tripping now?
If your car catches on fire, it's going to burn for 2 weeks.
Yeah. Or no, it'll burn very, very brightly for 2 minutes.
Like that. Well, remember the Rimac
Dude,
fire?
It's such like an aggressive, like scary, angry fire compared to,
Yeah.
I guess, normal fire.
Every time they would get to go out, it would flare back up for like 3 days.
jeez, that's good.
Batteries. Yay.
Can't live without them.
How do we get here from Nvidia blocking AIBs? From
I have no
working with
idea actually,
Intel?
but that's the best part about the show. We should just rename it to ADHD instead of RTFM.
Battle Mage. I was telling you offline. I don't like the gimmicky code names.
I do.
I'm
such a sucker
enjoy
for
it,
them.
yeah.
I love them so much.
I mean, I don't even care for Nvidia's code names, and they're all based off stuff that usually is like space related and scientific. and
Science.
stuff, but
They're always like
still.
famous scientists. I was even telling Nick like, oh yeah, I loved how like the iPhone 11s like the P cores were Firestorm and the E cores were Ice Storm.
Firestorm.
Firestorm and Ice Storm.
I'm over here waiting for Team Red to codename their next GPU Astroth or something. Just something. Just
Apple does have pretty sick code names for their
No, they're
for their
gonna be
chips.
Battle Warlock,
oh my gosh.
I think one of them was like Typhoon.
Battle Druid.
Typhoon and Monsoon were the P cores and E cores for one of them. I don't remember which one though.
Oh,
But yeah, we were
natural-
joking about like
natural
what could be C
disasters.
then, because A was Alchemist, B was Battle Mage, and then
I can't think of any words I can. That
Yeah,
start
like,
with
I can't think of
C
any gaming-
that I can say on stream.
Centurion.
that Aussie guy probably knows the word that we're thinking of that we can't say on screen. He probably used it 38 times in his last minute.
ADHD stands for Advanced Devices Hyperdudes.
Oh yeah.
Kinda.
If our show was named that, but then obviously we'd have to come up with a backronym for it.
That would require me to be hyper all the time. I can't do that.
I know. Would you calm down? You are hyper right now. You said more words in this show than you have in the last 42.
No, he puts the.
You're welcome.
He puts the deficit in attention. Attention deficit.
For the deficit.
Celestial. That sounds far too like.
Celestial.
No, that's far too like.
Surrender.
Sensational.
I don't want to say religious because
fragrance.
celestial also refers to space. So I don't know.
Is it religious at all? I always thought it was space. Like I always thought it just meant
That just sounds
like
like
No,
a celestial body.
it just sounds astrological.
No, celestial is a term used in a lot of different religions.
Oh, that's lame.
Celestial is also referred to like in Mormons, it's one of their like levels of heaven. Terrestrial, telestial, and celestial.
Wait, what? What's the middle one? Wait, what?
You don't want to go to the middle one.
No, what's the middle one?
You don't want to.
You don't want to go.
Because I know, no. I'm just saying because I know terrestrial is a word, and
I don't know
celestial.
I don't know the hierarchy of it all. I don't know like the order, but I just know that
No,
celestial.
I'm asking you what you said in between terrestrial and celestial because I only know those two
Telestial,
words.
terrestrial,
Yeah.
telestial,
Telestial?
yeah, telestial.
Like
And
It's like
celestial.
making up like where's that? Yeah, that's weird.
I'm not making it up.
No, they are. Well, I mean, like all words are made up, but whatever. Like
I think we're getting too deep. We gotta reel it back.
telestial. That's just. I don't
Well, no,
know.
I was watching the documentary yesterday with my kid because we do that every night now. How the universe works, and we pick a different episode. They mentioned celestial bodies, like blah blah blah, multiple times.
Yeah, because
on-
it just means of space,
Right.
or of the that way.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like celestial is that's why I said celestial is a space term, but
Yeah, I didn't. I just
a lot of
didn't know that it
religions put space and heaven together.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know.
yeah. Okay.
So I guess that makes sense.
Yeah. Wow, we really got off topic. That was supposed to be the code name.
I like how it was all like they put heaven
Yeah.
and space.
'Cause I was like, wait, that's not a religious word. But
Together.
yeah, it makes sense.
Together, they collaborated.
I don't know. There's a collaboration up there.
Speaking of heaven, you know what always annoys me is that the heaven benchmark doesn't look anything like what I imagine heaven would look like. Like, why is there a windmill? Why?
Oh, like
not?
steampunk in the sky?
Why is it flying?
Oh, it's heaven. It's that way. You don't get to heaven that way.
I mean,
You get to the Titanic that way.
But depending on, sometimes that way is that way.
Yeah, but only if you're on that side of the earth. We're on this side of the earth, so it's that way.
So their heaven is our hell?
Yeah.
That's not fair.
Well, sucks. The world isn't
Sucks for
flat.
Aussies.
The world isn't flat. Life isn't fair. That's my new catchphrase now. The world isn't flat because life isn't fair.
I was bored the other day and I was actually using the longitude, latitude in Google Maps to figure out what is exactly on the other side of straight down from where I'm at.
That's funny.
It's like Thailand.
There's a term for that because these people made a website for that because it was like the
To
original
show you what is exactly on the opposite
Yeah, it's
side
like
of
could
where
you
you are.
like if
Yeah,
I
you dig straight down.
If I dig straight down, would I actually literally dig a hole to China? And it's like
It's pretty close.
You have to be like yeah.
From here, it's pretty close. Like I said, I ended up in like Thailand.
Point on Earth opposite of you. I forgot what it's called. Like there's a specific term. Antipode.
Antipode.
I'm more of a protopode.
Protopode. Antipode. Country.
Oh yeah, IKEA, your island might sink, dude. Careful. Remember that one congressman that thought that
Oh, God.
Guam,
Yeah,
Guam could
dude.
capsize?
Is it, the thing about ice cubes?
Because that was when they were
he
talking.
was-
No,
he
no,
was
no.
concerned about building
Literally, the Admiralty, the Navy Admiralty.
This is like
was
literal like the dude
was trying to get like a new base built in Guam.
Okay.
You know, Guam's
Yeah.
an island in the Pacific, right?
Yeah.
Part of the questioning that took place was, and you guys can find this on YouTube, was this congressman questioning the admiral about how many people would it be, how big would the base be, how narrow is the island, how long is the island, because he was like painting this picture of it's like a narrow, long island, and if you put too much weight on it, it'll capsize.
Like a seesaw. Wow.
Like a floating island.
They're in Congress.
They're making laws. They're making laws, yeah. Y'all go look that up. Everyone go look up right now. Congressman thinks island will flip, and you guys will find it. It's
at
sad.
that point, I want to server browse for another world. Just
Yeah. Yeah, you know that
Give me out the
migration thing?
matchmaking.
Like, we need our own North Star.
This matchmaking sucks.
yeah. Oh, I can see the problems with this world. Like, I guess.
Every time I get paired up with a bank, they're always smurfing. I always lose.
Why does matchmaking suck so much? Like,
By the way, our
SBMM's not
antipode
working.
is in the middle of the ocean somewhere near Madagascar.
It's called
Matahuha?
Free Map Tools.
Your free map tools.
I don't know. That's what IKEA said, but he could be wrong. It's IKEA. So anyway,
I mean, an antipode is just a word that means a thing. So like, it doesn't matter which one you use. It's just always as long as it finds you a point opposite of you on the
is
earth.
it hot in Madagascar?
Madagascar's an island.
Well, yeah, it's a pretty big island, but still.
This isn't a weather map. It's just an opposite map.
Well, that's on the east coast of Africa, right?
Yeah, it's where King Julian resides.
Okay, so I was way off then when I said we were near Thailand.
Yeah, no. That's the bottom of Africa.
That's what I'm saying.
There's Cape.
That's the
yeah,
Cape.
Town, and then there, and then yep, that's where opposite us is.
So we might run into some pirates.
Yeah.
No,
Oh
that's
yeah.
that's way too far from land. No one would be over there.
We don't know
That
that.
orange dot?
Yeah.
You're a bad pirate if you're looking for ships out there. Ships
that's a good
always
point.
stay close to land. Like
Right.
along
You always
there.
hit the shipping lines.
Yeah.
Right. That's why they're in lines.
Hey, Nick, tell us how it goes. Go out there and try and I'm the captain now. Something.
No, dude.
Pirate.
I'll leave that to the guy who's in charge of making sure the island doesn't seesaw over when you put a base on
It's
the
just
other
gonna
side
look
of
like when you open the practice mode in World of Warships, but it's the empty map.
It's
And
just
you
open
didn't spawn
sea.
any opponents. Yeah, it's just open sea and you, and it's like sick.
Well, moving on. You guys may have seen this Igor's Lab article. Apparently, he quote unquote. Actually, another vendor told me that Igor leaked information. So
So
that gives to me that tells me it was a little bit more legitimate.
yeah, I agree. Yeah,
So basically, this is the new spec and the quote unquote design, which is more of a revision of the 12-volt high power plug. It's now just going to be so instead of 1, 2 VHPWR, it's going to be 12V dash 6 times 2. 6 by 2. So it looks like 12. It looks like 12V minus 6 times 2. It looks like a math equation.
What is the math thing when you break it down?
So anyway, what they've basically done is they've made some redesigns, and this is part of PCI SIG as well. They've made some redesigns to both the plug end, like the receiver end on the graphics card, and the male end or the plug end of the cable to try and create better connections on the pins and the cable and all that sort of stuff, because there's still a lot of debate on whether or not what's truly causing these cables to melt is them being not fully seated or partially crooked or whatever. So one of the things that they've done with this new spec, though, is they've actually apparently they've beefed up the capability of which it can carry watts and amps wise. So the current spec, which is CEM 5.0, I don't even know what CEM stands for, to be honest, is up to 600 watts. Now that's 600 watts combined motherboard. Remember, the motherboard PCI Express slot is spec to be able to handle and provide up to 75 watts of board power. And then the 525 other watts would be coming from the cables.
Oh, I didn't know that. So the cable itself is actually technically only rated for 525 because
the spec currently,
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
However, with the new spec, CEM 5.1, it's now up to 675 watts. So when I read this initially, I was like, oh my God, they're allowing more power. This is going to be bad. But it basically is up to 600 watts on the cables themselves now and 75 plus the motherboard. So because of the new cable specs is why they've rated them higher. I kind of feel like they should have done all this stuff and then just left them rated where they are. To be honest, you want to know the truth?
Like this should have been V1.0 and rated at 600?
Because this is CM 5.1, which is also part of the ATX 3.1.
Wait, I didn't know that when you were when you were talking about it earlier.
I wasn't making, you thought I was making jokes?
No, I thought you said CM like 6 or something.
5.1. CM 5.1.
So they're adding a 0.1.
And it's part of the ATX 3.1.
Bro, is your GPU PCI 5.1?
Just think about the scene where that vine of the people mixing the jumper cables and the cables are just melting.
Jeez.
Well, yeah, because that has to do with resistance.
Yeah.
But anyway,
it's just like,
so
I can't believe that they added a 0.1. That's so dumb.
There's so many moving pieces to this. Now, currently, right now, the pins for the new spec, the CEM 5.1 and the ATX 3.1, state that the terminal and the pin connection, right? So you've got a pin that goes into a terminal, and the terminal is basically male, and the pin is female, or reverse. The pin is male, terminal is female, and they interconnect, right? That connection point for each one, yes, I know it's very suggestive, Phil.
What?
Stop looking at me with that smile.
Oh, no, I wasn't even, I was looking past you.
Okay.
I had laughed earlier already.
And look at your look at your forehead.
Meet my eye line, Nick.
Okay.
Something on my forehead? Okay. So anyway, they have to be able to carry a minimum of 9.2 amps per pin, okay? And 55 watts as a total connection capability, which you did the math on, puts it at 660 watts total.
Yeah, 110 watts per amp. Per pin.
Now that's technically 60 watts above the rating of 600. So there's some headroom there, okay? And they did note in this new spec that because of clamping tolerances between the different types of terminals, and we'll talk about those in a minute, some could be more. Some might be taking higher load than 9.2.
I mean, that's a smart way to spec out a spec. Is always pick the lowest, lowest that you need to, yeah.
Right, but the minimum of 9.2 amps per pin, we have a total of 55 amps, up to 660 watts is what it basically what that math works out to. The other thing, though, is that they are creating some different distances now between the end of the plug and where the connection starts on both the main pins and the side bands. So what they're attempting to do here now is push the pins on the plug end of the graphics card. Because remember, the physical stiff pin is on the GPU side. The plug that you're plugging in has the terminal or the receiver end that the pin slides into. So they're trying to make the pins on the GPU stick out a little bit farther, a little bit longer, a little bit less taper. So the pin is a very long, pointy taper right now. And they're making that taper the pitch less defined. So they define that pitch in the distance of that angle between where it's flat and where the tip is. And so right now it's up to, I think it was 3 millimeters, right? So they're making it shorter now, 1.5, where it's going to be
it's a 3 minute. Jeez, that's actually, that is pretty long.
So now they're going to make it a shorter pitch, which means that taper is much more steep, which means the pin overall with the thickness is longer.
Right.
And they've moved it out closer to the edge of the terminal now, or the plug, now only 1.5 millimeters back.
So more Lincoln Memorial, less pyramid.
Pretty much, yes. And so anyway, what we're looking at now is a stronger, firmer connection by those being longer, which means seating. However, as we've showed already with our particular test that we've shown you, is that pin receiver, that clip, allows it to pull out quite a bit before that clip actually barbs and hits. So this should alleviate some of that. However, should it still work its way back, they're also working on shortening the sideband connectors. Now remember, the sideband connector is just a ground. It does nothing but tell the sideband connector like, hey, here's how many PCI Express plugs we have plugged in. And each one technically allows for an additional 150 watts, okay, up to 600. So what you're looking at now is if that cable starts to wiggle out slightly, the sideband connector will detach. If the system's powered on when that happens, it should shut off. It should shut off the graphics, which means...
I mean, the graphics card is not going to have any power after that, so whatever your system does after that...
Well, I never tested what happens if you disconnect the wideband while it's already powered on. But theoretically, it should shut down because it's carrying a ground.
That's the intended behavior, is that the sideband... Like, if the sideband loses connection, then the graphics card and or the power supply stop that power interaction. They're just like, okay, something happened. Like, I lost contact with the GPU. I'm going to just cut off all power to this cable because, you know what I mean? Holy crap, I don't know what's on the other end of it now.
And then conversely, if it's not plugged in all the way and you go to power it on, it won't power on.
Yeah.
So
I think that was the best safety feature that they did from all these like other changes and stuff is that physical interconnect that they've added, like you said.
Yeah. So there's that spec now where they're making the main pins longer, they're making the sideband pins slightly shorter, they're making the pins the same thickness, it's just the point, because it has to have a point, that way it can slot into the terminal. Otherwise, if it's off slightly, it'll just bash into the terminal, you'll bend it back, you'll get no connection there. So they have to have a tapered point, but the current one's pretty long. It's a long taper, it looks like a dart. So now it's very shallow, more of a stub nose just to fit in there. The other portion of this too is, and this currently exists right now regarding the fact that there are two suppliers for the terminal. Now remember, the terminal, like I just said, is the end in your cable. It's the one that's got the hole in it that the pin slides in. There are two companies out there, Astrom and NTK. Now Astrom, and I'll put a picture of this up for you guys because I think that this will be, and I actually forgot to prep it, so I got to do this real quick while I'm talking. The visual is going to be pretty important because now Intel has also specifically stated this. It's funny how Intel during all this was like, whoa, we didn't design the plug. Yeah. We just gave input to PCI SIG. Now Intel's the one that's like, hey, here's the way it needs to be done. You know what I mean? It's like, so were you involved or not? Anyway, moving on. Intel and PCI SIG now officially have a quote unquote standard for the way that the pins and the terminals should be constructed.
Oh, because in this current version of the 12-volt high power plug, they did not spec. They were just like, here's what you need to meet. Like, it needs to be this many amps and this many volts and blah, blah, blah.
But that's only half the story. There's a contact. How's the contact taking place?
Oh, so it was on these companies to make that decision on the 12-volt high power.
I think what was honestly happening here, it was on these companies to source them. And I bet you Astrom just made them a deal they couldn't refuse. And so everyone's currently using Astrom pretty much.
Oh, yeah. Wow. That's crazy. Holy crap. Like, it's one manufacturer.
Yeah. And I'll tell you right now, like, I had this whole conversation with CableMod because of the fact that CableMod is still dealing with adapters melting.
Right.
And
because they're like adjacent to the problem.
Well, CableMod has probably single-handedly sold the most aftermarket things plugging into a 4090 because of the adapters, the 180s, the 90s, their plugs, their cables, etc. So I had this conversation with them about NTK versus Astrom, and it was basically what they told me is right now they don't know of anyone using NTK. Now NTK is the better one, and I'm going to show you in a second here. But now that we have the spec and the actual like recommendation that says use NTK, you'll see why. So here are the way that the plugs look. I'm just gonna make this full screen for you guys. On the left here, you can see the Astron, and the Astron is a 3 dimple design. So you can see how there's, as the pins push in, I'm sorry, Nick, I know you can't see this.
I'm waiting for it to show up.
He'll see on the screen.
As the pins push in, you can see those 3 dimples on either side make a friction contact. But the only contact taking place is through the surface area of those 3 tiny little dimples. So you can also see how if the pin was maybe not fully seated, you might only be making contact with 4 out of 6, etc. On the right is the NTK, and this is also what the new recommendation standard is. You can see there are 4 springs. So each square edge of that pin or that terminal would be making contact with a larger surface area of the pin. And not to mention because of the fact that it would be pushing, those are like leaf springs. So you'd be pushing those springs out, giving you better friction as well.
I'm really surprised that it's dimples and not a spring style like the NTK one.
Yeah. So
because the spring style is that's how our outlets are. Yeah. Like it's just two pieces of metal that are bent backwards, and then they form a spring that the thing slides into and contacts.
Right. So I honestly think this is one of those things where, on paper, maybe the triple or the 3 dimple design. I call it 3 dimple. It's technically 6 because there's 3 on each side. Mm-hmm. But there's no contact really happening at the top or the bottom except for maybe some wiggling. Like maybe if it's in there at a different like thrust angle, then it might touch the top or the bottom. But honestly, I think this is one of those things that in terms of this, because this is not uncommon to have more than one supplier of a terminal or a pin design. Right?
Yeah, of course. Like if you guys have looked at your motherboard and you've seen like Lotes or something near your socket.
Yeah, Lotes or Foxconn.
Yeah, Lotes is literally the manufacturer of that socket. Like they made the socket for the motherboard, for your motherboard company and that sort of stuff. There's tons of companies that are behind other companies, which is cool. But yeah, like you're saying, that blew my mind that it was just one supplier this whole time.
Yeah.
That's exactly one point of failure as well.
Yeah. So I think on paper, in terms of it being the size and the receptacle size and everything within it was within spec, until people really started seeing a 4090 push the limits of the spec, start to realize like, hey, the contact area is bad, is poor.
Yeah, it's almost like the best endurance test is making it to market.
So what I hate what I hate most about this, though, if you want to know the truth, this is still not on Nvidia, because Nvidia has the solid pin end, right? This is the cable end. These are the power supply manufacturers. These are the cable mods. These are the thermal takes, and everyone making adapters and plugs and stuff. So this is them sourcing the 3 dot or the 3 dimple. Whereas maybe, I don't know what the deal is. I kind of want to, I'm looking at getting some more information from Cable Mod directly. I'm like, did you guys have an option to go with NTK? Because apparently the issue here is that it was expressed by a person that wrote me angry about their thing melting, that Cable Mod always used NTK, and then they switched to some in-house brand, and Cable Mod's CEO told me, no, that's not true. We have always used the 6 dimple. So I don't know where the viewer got their information, and basically the viewer was like, hey, they've changed something since you've had yours. That's why yours isn't melting. Check yours, etc. And the CEO was like, hey, yo, Jay, you have exactly what everyone else has. And the same thing with that one I just put on Brian's computer. It's the same as everyone else's. But I think realistically here, now what we're going to see is the new spec, CEM 5.1, ATX 3.1.
So much more confusion.
With the pin redesign inside of the GPU end, and the sideband pin changes and these new NTK plugs. Hopefully this is enough. I mean,
yeah, I hope so.
And the renaming of 12V-6x2. It literally looks like a math equation when you like just write it out.
Like stupid what is it? Not protocol. Standard names.
Yeah.
Is like, it's like my triangle spam for IKEA.
But
like, it's just so like.
But didn't we always feel like plugging in the 12-volt high power cable, it didn't have a lot of friction?
Yeah,
like,
it was pretty light.
You only had the plastic on plastic friction, but it didn't feel. Sometimes you're like, doesn't even feel like it's engaging the pins. Well, now you know why. It's just those 6 tiny little dimples that are making contact with the sides of the pin, not even the top and bottom.
I was gonna say, I think old PCI 6 pin probably had more resistance when you were shoving that thing in.
Yeah.
Yeah, 12-volt high power is just always like this is what it feels like when you're holding the cable. You're just like, this is it? 600 watts? You know what I mean? Like, that's what it feels like with the 12-volt high power. It's like, bro. Like,
I still don't
who
personally...
Who decided this much power through this tiny of a connector?
I still don't personally understand why they ever chose that it needed to be so small.
Jay, because desktop computers are getting so large, and the only way we can make them smaller is making the plug smaller.
Now...
Just like the only way to make an iPhone smaller is to get rid of the headphone jack.
Now, the total board power of a 3090 Ti is the same as a 4090. It's 450 watt total board power. You know, you're getting your 500 plus watts with your overclocking models, and you're pushing the power limits and all that sort of stuff.
The 4090 seems
I still don't understand why we haven't seen 3090 Ti's expose this problem.
I have a hunch that it's because
I'm wondering if they're using NTK on the old ones.
I think they're both rated at 450, but the 4090 goes over it more often when you push it. Like,
Maybe.
And it goes farther of a bit because I've seen my...
You're probably right, because the 3090 Ti, I never really played around with overclocking on it. I'll have to one day to monitor like what's happening through the cables, but I don't think they had as high of a power limit slider available to them.
And they definitely don't spike that high either, because I know my 3090, like, it stays within the 370 to 400 range, and I've never, like, the highest I've ever seen it hit was like 410. You know what I mean? So like it kind of stays within its range a lot more than like, you know, chilling at its range for a little bit and then spiking up when it needs to and spiking way higher than it needs to.
Cycle Chris in chat made a very good point. He says, so 4090 owners, I means by current, won't get the benefits of the new terminal. Well, no, because it's already on the GPU end with the longer, less tapered pins.
Yeah.
We're
getting the better receptacle.
The majority of the problem exists on the cable side. So you would still get the benefit of being able to update the cable. And now whether or not PSU manufacturers are going to like replace the cable, I have no idea. I will say this, and I don't know if this is off the record. Again, Cable Mod, I'm sorry if I wasn't supposed to say this. One of the things they've asked me if I felt like was a good idea is if with this new spec and this new design, should they retroactively replace everyone's adapter? That's a yes from me. But we're talking over 40,000 free adapters. Yeah. If they can afford it and they're willing to take it for the team financially on technically a problem that isn't theirs as they followed the initial spec guidelines, that's a great customer service move, but it might be a very bad financial move.
Yeah.
But as it is right now, I think you have to weigh what is costing them more. They're still repairing/replacing GPUs for people. And it's
again, still not their fault. Like that's the reason we're talking about that is
it's not their fault. But what I've gotten, and I just delete these emails, is people that write me all super salty that their adapter melted, and it usually ends with like, anyway, I just emailed Cable Mod and we'll see what they say. It's like, why are you writing me?
Yeah,
why are you writing me? You know, it's not Cable Mod's fault that the pin spec is causing this. It's not Cable Mod's fault that your GPU manufacturer, and it sucks that all of the stuff outlined here in Igor's lab. You guys go to Igor's lab and see all the actual schematics for the new pins and whatnot. It absolves AIBs as well from having any real responsibility on it, because if the problem's on the other half of the plug, which they don't supply, is it their fault?
Yeah.
So I think it's just
such a crazy problem.
But back to what I was saying was, I think it would be advantageous for Cable Mod to replace those adapters, because that would be a lot cheaper than continuing to replace cards.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Because I would love to see, and maybe I'll have to try this, and I'll just have to be willing to. That's what we'll do. We'll do this. I'll try and make it melt. If it melts, we take the card to Northridge Fix. He shows me how to repair it. Right? That's what we'll do.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Because it's repairable. The melted plugs are repairable. You're not out forever.
Yeah, I've even seen scratch traces on multiple layers repairable. It's crazy.
But I would love to see how one half of the fix works, the old GPU side, but the new plug side,
because that's going to be a big portion of.
I think that's going to be almost enough to fix it for existing users. But I'd love to know like how well that will, because that should still have the sideband problem where if it pulls out, it releases the sideband. But
it releases it first. That's
but again, which is more costly? Let's replace all of these cable adapters at their cost, which I don't know what it is. I think they're about $50 for the adapter retail. I don't know what their manufacturing cost is. Or continue to replace and buy and fix cards. Sounds way more expensive in the long run. Mm-hmm. Anyway, there is a way to be able to denote which plug is old and which is new. The new cable plugs, both on the cable side and the GPU side, because eventually this new spec's going to make its way into GPUs as well. Like there will probably be a revision point at which they're all coming with the new other end.
Right.
It will have an H++ on it, and I don't know what that means.
High plus plus.
It's just instead of 6x2, it's just H++.
And what kind of connectors are the high plus plus? What?
That's like brake pad coding. It's like the Hawk HP,
HP plus.
HP plus.
HPS plus. iPhone 13 Pro Max Pro.
Is it going to stop the car or no? No.
This is going down probably as one of the biggest like debacles of a generational design change.
And it's such a weird one too. Like I have never seen this happen in like my entire like history being, you know, enthusiastic about the PC world. Like I've never seen all this like fire and smoke over a cable, like a connector, you know, that's insane.
Tube and Jar made a point. He says they can offer a limited time recall window. If you miss it, you miss it. And it's actually not a recall. I don't think it would be fair to call it a recall. I think it would be called a voluntary exchange program.
Yeah.
Because a recall denotes, hey, there's something wrong.
Yeah, there's like super legal things about the word recall, right? That you can't use it unless you are really going to recall.
That's like,
which means I'm taking everything back.
I mean, it's a bit larger scale, but to call this a recall would be like saying, okay, in the 2020 Honda Civic, whatever, there was a little bit of a design defect in that it makes this noise or whatever. It's not catastrophic, but it's annoying or whatever, right? That's like saying, going to the dealer and saying, okay, I want you to take back my 2020 and give me a 21 because they fixed it. That doesn't happen.
Yeah.
That's not a thing. You know what I mean? Especially when like, that's like, it's not even Cable Mod's design. You know what I mean?
know. That's always like the scary part because you keep
but
they do have ownership in one area. If they had access to the NTK,
they didn't use it,
and they didn't use it, why? Mm-hmm. I don't know. These are questions I haven't had a chance to pose yet. The email conversation is just taking place like within the last day.
Yeah, I'm sure you're
he's in either Germany or Taiwan, depending on where he is when he's at. He lives in Germany. He's German, but obviously the business is in Taiwan, so he travels back and forth a lot. The time difference is really awkward trying to talk to him. I never know which way I'm going in terms of time. But anyway, these are questions I'm going to ask because one of the things I have to say, and the reason why I still stand by Cable Mod, even though the 4090 stuff is still melting, is one, anything 4080 and below still uses the damn adapter, and you're not going to melt to 4080 and below. And two, I've never seen a company stand by a product that is exposing a different area of failure that's not their own and financially take the hit for it.
That's what I was starting to say, is that's worrying to me because it's like, I really hope they can stay afloat because I don't want to lose another nice company in the tech sphere.
Yeah, someone said if Cable Mod calls it a recall, then the PSU manufacturers would need to as well. Yeah. Well, so far, here's the thing. Recalls usually refer to a safety issue. These have melted, but none have caught fire.
Yeah.
There's been no danger of fire with this. So, and a lot of people didn't even know their GPUs were melted until they go to take them out and they're like, oh, it's stuck. And then it's all melted and they realize it still worked because the pin still had connection. It's just, they were a lot more insulated as the connector sort of melted around it.
I'm in danger.
But once you get it out, it's not going back in.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the saga continues. I can guarantee you. Oh man, do you think on 50 series they'll continue using this plug? Or do you think maybe they'll be like, we'll go with 8. We'll go with 4 8-pins.
It's Nvidia. Like, I'm not expecting them to revert. They're going to stick to their guns.
I don't even. Yeah.
Then why does the 12-volt high power plug exist on every SKU except the 4060?
I feel like the 60 could have been like almost like a, I don't want to call it like a parts bin build, like kind of like.
But I get the vibe you're going.
But it's like they used what they had.
4060 and 4060 Ti, for all intents and purposes, are identical, minus some different shader, like shade down cores and tensor cores and stuff. But spec wise, like the foundation of the card is identical.
So they cut 4060 Ti's and then they make the 4060s out of that bin, or the lower.
Right,
bins.
but the 4060 uses the 8-pin PCI Express, not the 12 volt.
Oh yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Like, not all of 40 series uses it. All of their 30 series did. AIBs did not.
I wonder if this is Nvidia testing the waters then. Like, hey, how will they react if we put an old school connector back on?
Yeah, put it on the card. It matters least.
I know the irony, but like they already launched the 4090, so I can't do it.
Let's put it on the card. Literally, no one was running out to buy.
Do we have any more of those connectors?
Yeah, and the card that uses and the card that uses all of like 17 watts under load.
Dude, if you want people to start talking, put it on a 4090. Put 3 8-pins or 6+2s, whatever. 3 8-pins on a 4090. Let's see if we can melt those.
Yeah, if you really want them talking, they'd be like, see, we can do it too. AMD's not the only one with 8 pins on their cards.
So
that was pretty funny at that AMD presentation though. Like the amount of ammo that Nvidia gave them with that connector bit happening, because like the connector stuff was all going down right before the 7900 series launch.
Yeah, but given the fact of when it was all going down, those manufacturing choices had to been made months prior.
I know, that's what I was saying. It was just like it just
gave them marketing.
It gave the PowerPoint team ammo. To talk crap.
Well, I guarantee you there were probably some presentation revisions.
Yeah.
leading up to it.
Yeah,
probably.
they're like, yo, we used the old ones. Hey, get them on the phone.
That's right. That was
changes on the pre-roll.
That was what you and I went to Vegas for, right? That was the 7,000. Okay, I couldn't remember if that was like the launch or if it was like a different. I couldn't remember. To be honest, they all start to. Anyway,
moving to lighter topics. Oh my god,
is this lighter?
I mean, I consider it lighter. Like personally, I'm not big on the social platforms minus Instagram, but like, so Meta launched their own platform, Threads, which I didn't know this till today actually, that they actually accrued 30 million users in the first 18 hours of its launch.
I feel like that's like with companies like Meta, like these big huge tech conglomerates, I feel like that sort of onboarding stuff is cheap and like you know what I mean? It's cheating because it's like, we have 30 million. Yeah, it's like all you did was put a button on Instagram and then people clicked it. Like,
can I tell you how my introduction to Threads went?
I still don't have
Go for it.
I get this phone call yesterday from James. You guys know James handles the social medias for me now.
Oh yeah. He's our.
He goes, hey, guess what? I said, what? He goes, yeah, I started a Threads account for you. And I was like, what's Threads? And he was like, oh, it's an Instagram. I'm like, but we already have an Instagram. He's like, no, but it's like Instagram, but like Twitter. I'm like, but we already have a Twitter. He's like, no, it's different. And he's like, anyway, I signed you up for it.
Is just this,
he said, I signed you up for it. And I was like, oh, cool. I said, it's a good thing that way no one could take the name. He's like, well, the nice thing is because you already have JayzTwoCents on Instagram, you automatically had it reserved for you on Meta. He goes, I signed you up and in one day you got 21,000 followers. I was like, how did they find it? But apparently people just went looking for it.
Yeah.
So when you talk about 30 million.
No, it makes sense that people would look for it because we're in this weird phase of like, I've seen it before on the internet.
Jamman just said, where's your Blue Sky account? Isn't that the guy that started Twitter, but he's like, screw Twitter now and he started something else?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dude, there's too many social.
No, I know, but I
just barely got on the TikToks.
I was gonna say, like, we're on that we're in that phase of like everyone's seeing where everyone's gonna go. We're all kind of like sort of like watching, like, okay, are more people gonna go there? More people gonna go there? Because
we got DVD, we got HD DVD,
yeah, exactly.
we got Blu-ray.
We're right there at like 2006 when DVD and HD DVD and Blu-ray both launched.
So
and,
you guys know I love The Office, and I've seen it almost 20 times through now, like from beginning to end, almost 20 times. It is my happy place show. Okay. I was just watching the episode the other day where Kelly was explaining to Ryan how Netflix worked. And she was talking about how she has to like change her DVD queue. Yeah. And if she wants this DVD, she can move it up. If she wants to see it again, she can change order. And when she gets it, they automatically send a new one and this and that. And she's like, do you really not know how Netflix works? And I'm like,
I'll probably blow your kids' minds.
And I was just like, oh yeah, I forgot they did actual physical media.
Oh, they started.
But what we're seeing right now is like, it's like when the Netflix physical media and all that stuff, and then streaming started.
Yeah.
It's just now we have the battle of the socials, and you know how many of these are fueled out of just
spite?
No, not spite, pettiness.
Yeah,
is the word I want to use, because now you have these like 4 or 5 big companies now that are all fighting for your screen time. As somebody that has pulled back from social media screen time, it's great.
But yeah, so anyways, continuing the story. Twitter threatened lawsuit against Meta because they claimed that apparently they had their ex-Twitter employees start working on the Meta stuff, but Meta claimed that no one was on their engineering team for this. But anyways, I was just surprised, like, okay, why do you go after a company or something that just launched and well, of course it's going to gain attention, but why would you want to fight them on grounds of you have their old employees that they laid off intentionally?
Okay, let's say I'm Twitter and you're Threads, right? That's what it's called?
Yeah.
Okay, which is Instagram, but not. Okay, fine, whatever.
It's Twittergram.
Twittergram?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
So let's say I'm over here at Twitter and I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. And then you're Facebook/Meta/Instagram/Threads. And you start a new thing and you're like, wow, we got 30 million views overnight. I'm going to be like, that looks a lot like ours. Yeah. You know what?
Yeah.
You took our guys, didn't you? Didn't you? I'm suing you.
You did it to yourself. You legit did it to yourself. You started limiting everybody.
I think there's an assumption because I have Threads on my phone. I kind of look through it and I'm still not entirely sure how to use it. But I was like, I can see why people would say this is very Twitter-like in the sense that you can scroll through people's threads. But it's like,
from my understanding, it's.
But I think they just looked at it and assumed because the overall aesthetic and style and even the coloring, it's blue and like the coloring of it.
Oh, is it? Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I bring it up right now, but I think they basically just looked at it and went, "Oh, you had to have just copied this." And first of all, I really hate their logo. It's like a squiggly @ sign.
I know.
It looks
They're
like,
already memeing it up.
It looks like I told my kid, "See, look, the home button. That all looks like Instagram, right?" But this
actually no, that looks more like Twitter.
This does look like Twitter. Look at this.
Yeah, it's very Twitter-like.
I want to see.
But it's basically just imagine Twitter postings, but it's just discussions too. You can post just text, not just an image or a video or a reel anymore. I don't know what that is, but that didn't look like NSFW. Oh. You saw that, right?
I think so. Yeah. Okay.
So I might want to check some settings in there.
All right, I'm gonna get a Threads account. That's funny. Yeah,
So-
I mean, I don't know. It's like, dude, Twitter, you didn't invent the scrolling text view. Like, they're acting like their freaking UI is like the bastion of UI design.
From the article I read, though, it's like it really resembles Twitter. It just doesn't have that the keyword search function and DMs. So you're literally
But
just
any app that's going to display a threaded text conversation in a list is necessarily
it's
going to
like
look
grounds for
right.
Yeah.
And so that's why
And
I
that
think
definitely
it's baseless.
predates Twitter.
Yeah. In fact, like,
So what is Blue Sky and Mastodon kind of the same way then? In that
I don't know anything about Mastodon, but I know that Blue Sky was so. Remember, the original designer developer of Twitter
he's an
sold
ex-CEO.
it.
yeah, Jack, right, or whatever.
I think
Yeah.
it was a Jack. Yeah,
Yeah, I
because
think it's
Tom was Facebook.
Yeah,
Okay,
Tom was-
so
yeah.
Jack sold it.
No, Tom was MySpace.
Was it
Tom.
MySpace? I don't know. Okay.
Tom.
Shout out to Tom. We left you. we should have never done that.
I know.
So
He was my first friend on MySpace.
so Jack sold the company, made billions on it.
Yeah.
The company continued to grow, and then Elon bought it. And Jack is so like fed up with the way that Twitter
Elon's running it. Yeah.
Not just the way Elon's running it, because here's the thing: Elon apparently officially stepped away as CEO and blah 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 blah.
Oh, yeah, he
the
got
new
that-
CEO,
he
but
got
he's
that
still
chick, yeah.
he's still puppeteering back there, right?
Reminds me of somebody else.
So apparently Jack is so fed up with that, he was just like, "All right, screw Twitter. I'm starting Blue Sky.
I'm gonna start my own Twitter with Blackjack and Ogre's.
Screw Twitter. I'm gonna start my own Twitter. I'm gonna start it again."
Yeah, you're right. It's just two Twitter, two again.
But I don't plan on
the Swedish version of Twitter.
yeah,
like I plan on having a Mastodon and a Blue Sky and all that crap.
just
only
to have the presence. Yeah.
No, I don't want to post anything. I just
Oh, just have the name.
yes. So it's one of those things where it's like I kind of have to have them, but I don't want to participate.
Yeah.
I don't want to be a part of these social battles. This is so like I'm trying to unscreen my life, like having screen time nonstop, and I'm like, there's like 7 major social platforms now, and I'm not even including TikTok or Instagram or Snapchat or any of that. Do people still snap the chats or what? Is that still a thing? I don't know. I only use them for filters with my kids. We never post anything.
Honestly, I feel like the only like when I think about like why do I use Twitter, right? It's like I think the most awesome interactions I've had on there or witnessed on there is when you see something that would like a conversation that would never happen in real life because of like the social statuses of those two people, right? Where like you can have a celebrity have a real like, you know, legit sentence with somebody or a couple sentences or a small conversation with a fan. And it's like that doesn't happen in real life. And I love seeing those interactions, not just in like celebrities and like acting and that sort of stuff, but like even, you know, when you can directly ask like some freaking scientist about their paper on black holes, right? Like that sort of stuff is like what always drew me to Twitter is that idea of like, you know what I mean? Everyone's kind of like anyone can talk to anyone on there and it doesn't really, you know what I mean? It, like that's the beauty of it, at least to me. But then
My problem is the fact that anyone can talk to anyone.
it's like, yeah, it's like how the internet, right? Like the gift of the internet, but also the curse of the internet, right? It's like everyone has a voice. Oh no, everyone has a voice. Yeah, exactly.
That's literally why I left Twitter because
Yeah.
I mean it just got to a point where I was getting salty about like just interacting with some people.
And
But
then,
it's just
and
like
then I
even
find
like-
myself going, some people shouldn't have a voice. And I'm like, that's wrong. So I'm just not going to go where I can hear their voice.
Yeah.
You can yell into a brick wall all you want.
Yep. No, or even like the Tony Hawk race war meme, right? And then the fact that he like part of that fun was that he interacted with that guy. Like it was Tony Hawk that replied to that was like, Well, thanks for the support, I guess. Like, you know what I mean? But like those interactions are like what I'm gonna miss the most from like whatever social media thing we end up on, or God knows, like it might end up where we just split now, and then there's gonna be like, oh, what network are you on? Are you on MSN? Are you on ICQ? Are you on AIM? Right? Like it's gonna be like that again. Because
I just had an amazing thought.
We had like 5 messengers back then.
There needs to be a special room in Twitter, like a special tab that's only available. It's a feed that's only available to people that have been blocked from X amount number of accounts. So if you're a troll that's been blocked from a certain number of accounts, bing, and unlocks. Basically, it's like Twitter prison. And they can all just converse in there with each other.
I kind of want to see what that happens because it's like Grand Theft Auto. It was Grand Theft. Like,
so you still have a voice. It's just over there.
It's funny because that's supposedly. I mean,
could you imagine what that would look? And then those that are not blocked, like by blocked, I mean haven't been put in Twitter jail, should be allowed to spectate.
What's this from?
It's like
it was GTA Online. Yeah,
you put in servers with other hackers.
I was like, why does it sound so familiar? I feel like the video game has done this before. So
Call of Duty does it too.
That's how GTA Online works, Jay. If you grief constantly, you only get put into griefer servers.
Okay, cool.
You're
cool.
in there. With,
I feel like that should be a thing.
They should do that for Twitter for sure. Yeah, dude.
But I think honestly, we should all be allowed to spectate it. We can't participate in the conversation. We can just watch. What are the idiots all saying amongst themselves?
I'm gonna get roasted for this on Twitter, but
honestly, that's just gonna hurt my brain.
No.
God! Look, I don't want to get political.
No,
but Michael said that's truth.
Oh, no. I was gonna joke and be like, "That's the verified tab," but damn, he went to truth. He went all the way there. Okay, that is not a normal topic for us, so we're going to move on.
No, we're not even talking about it. Just I read his comment, which I find funny.
It is funny.
I find funny.
I still think you're trash tab.
Because you know what? About. Ideology can argue with ideology of the same ideology.
Yeah,
it's human. It's human nature to just argue for the sake of arguing.
I'm just gonna say it because I believe it. I think the tab you're looking for is the verified tab, where it just shows you all the blue ticks.
I think the only smart move is not to play.
I have very, very rarely seen a blue tick tweet that did not make me facepalm and want to hurt somebody because
I have deleted my check mark no less than 5 times, and they keep putting it back.
Yeah. No, I was just saying, like, if it's a blue tick and it's a person that I don't know, like, oh God, I don't even know.
I've talked about this a million times.
9 times out of 10, yeah, they're an idiot.
I've talked about this a million times, and people just don't seem to get it. But I want to see if they changed the terminology yet. I have a blue check mark, and that blue check mark says this account is verified since January 2016. Okay, if I click Learn More.
Does it still say?
Because it used to say is subscribe to Twitter Blue. And I'm like, yo, I am not subscribed to Twitter Blue. Don't even make it look like I'm subscribed to Twitter Blue.
Yeah, that was like that false advertising thing either.
The blue check mark means that the account has an active subscription to Twitter Blue.
That's it.
So
they don't even say the notable thing anymore.
Or it used to say or previously notable.
Honestly, I think that's Elon's scorched earth like thing against like that whole like.
Can I just explain real quick why it bothers me so much that it says I'm subscribed to Twitter Blue? First of all, I would never, ever, ever pay to be a part of a social media. Ever in my life. Like, I would never, ever pay for that. Twitter is a publicly traded company. Elon owns it, but they have a board of investors or board of directors, investors, the whole deal, right? Elon is the majority owner, but there are investors. In your earnings report, do you say, look at all of the paid Twitter users we have? And are you now inflating that number by giving everyone that was previously verified for notable or whatever a free subscription? Is it inflating the numbers? Yeah. Is it insider trading fraud? Is it no? Elon is no stranger to insider trading fraud at all.
Go pump those numbers up, those rookie numbers, kid.
But my point is, like, I don't want it saying I'm subscribed to Twitter Blue, because it needs to say somehow that it was given to me because I do not pay for it. I do not want it. I cannot even get rid of it.
He's putting an endorsement in your mouth.
It just makes it look like I'm paying for it, and I'm not.
Yeah.
I do not like what Twitter has become as a social platform in terms of interacting with people. So I don't want any part of it. And the last thing I want to make it look like is I'm paying for that. So it irritates me a lot.
I think it's just
Twitter is not public anymore. Okay, well, still don't make it look like I'm giving money to it.
It just goes back to my thing that I was saying, where I think it's just, Elon's scorched earth against what his perceived old like unfair blue checkmark system was, because that was the whole reason we had this whole blue check revamp, is because he personally felt that the old system was significantly flawed and unfair, and that it's not truly democratic.
The reason why verified,
so
verified existed because it was against the thing against the impersonators.
It's
like
anti-impersonation.
Okay, so you got JayzTwoCents and you got the blue check mark and you got those that are not. So the blue check mark should be the one that is me. Unfortunately, people can't read and they kept thinking that blue check mark meant I was Jay-Z. So they kept hitting me up like I was the rapper. Okay, and they still sort of do, but that was because it was a notoriety thing, right? It was a notable thing. Now verified. When Elon took over and changed things was to say it's a verified person and not a bot, because it was a bot tactic he was fighting against.
Yeah.
So verified just means there's a human on the other end of that. But I feel like you should just have two different check marks then. Have a gold one and a blue one. I don't know.
Did you actually have a gold one and a blue one? The gold one's for companies, yeah. The gold one's the company verified.
Why the fuck do I get a gold one?
Because you have to pay for it like a crap ton more than $8 a month.
So people and companies have to pay
to say that they are themselves.
To say that they're them.
Yeah, that's so fucked.
That's just Elon trying to make his money back.
It's fucked.
Anyway,
I don't even care that I'm cussing. It's fucked, dude. Like I hate it so much.
I think social media is going to go down as one of the biggest human blunders ever.
That's why aliens roll out their windows when they drive past us.
Yeah, aliens go past the freaking our solar system. Like when we go through San Bernardino, how we like windows up, fast as you don't stop for nobody. If you stop, if you get pulled over in the next city.
Yeah. Pull over. At least Jupiter. Do not pull over before Jupiter. Pluto maybe.
I would like to think like you're getting pulled over and you want to tell the cops like, hey, I'm gonna pull over in
Andromeda.
No, so you're telling the cop like, hey, I'm gonna pull over in the next city.
Yeah.
You think you're gonna, but the cops were like, pull over in the next city.
Yeah, even the cops don't want to pull over.
Cops don't want to pull over there.
That's for my safety, not yours.
I forgot. I got stopped at Rancho once, and I pulled over, and we were still on kind of sort of off the side of the major street, and then I actually had the cop do that. Like they pulled up, and then they kind of paused for a bit, and then he went around, and then he rolled down his window.
He's like, follow me over there.
Yeah, follow me over there. I was like, oh, okay, cool. And he was like,
okay. U-turn. You're 70 horsepower of hybrid fury.
If I've been playing as much Need for Speed as I have now, I would have tried it.
All right, we got 10 minutes left in today's show. We'll go ahead and move on over to the FTFA, which is from the freaking audience. This is where we read your short, concise, interesting emails that you think will allow the conversation to go down the thread symbol of @ lines.
Dude, of stupid, like how do you even describe it?
I don't know. It just looks like it looks like an @ symbol I asked my 5-year-old to draw, right? That's what it looks like.
That's like a stretch in that it'd be insulting to the 5-year-old.
Yeah. So anyway, if you think your question might lead to some silly conversation, then go ahead and write us at rtfm@JayzTwoCents.com. So this one comes from Blake. He says, hey guys, Blake here. Favorite movie of all time, go.
Damn. Dude, I can't put a favorite.
Matrix. That's the only one that comes to my head.
Yeah, right.
Matrix
you would say, you'll be a 10-second car. You know it's Fast and Furious. You know it. That's the one movie you could literally recite word for word in cue on time.
One. I think that's all of us though.
No, I know the general what they're about to say, but you know it word for word, cadence, pauses, the whole deal.
That is
unfortunately.
So can I, but I don't know if that's my favorite. Yeah. That's up there. Yeah,
it's up there.
I think I'm just gonna go with The Matrix. That's the only. That's always the movie that comes to mind.
That was my first DVD I ever owned.
Same.
Yeah. We bought a DVD player and then The Matrix.
Oh, I see. I was sorry. I told my dad, hey, the new PlayStation has a DVD player, so now it's combined because you're buying my console and it's a DVD player.
That's how I did it for the PS3.
Sony was smart too because they even sold that remote. Remember the little
I have that remote.
DVD player remote?
Yeah, I have that remote.
Yeah. So it's to my dad. Besides the fact that it looked all crazy gamer, it was just a regular DVD player.
My favorite movie of all time is Tombstone. It's a 3-hour movie, but
it's a Western, right?
Yeah.
My dad had
Val Kilmer and
wait, 3 hours? No wonder.
It's almost 3 hours.
Dude, because my dad had it on Laserdisc. And I remember, why does this one movie have so many discs? I think it was
my favorite
discs.
part is when Doc Holliday walks out and he was like, hey man, I was just messing. He's like, I wasn't. Anyway, okay, moving on. This one comes from
Matrix, Tombstone, and
Fast and Furious or John Wick.
Nice.
The first John Wick in my eyes. the first John Wick is still the best in my opinion.
Yeah, but I thoroughly enjoyed the sequels as well.
4 was great.
Yeah.
4 was great. 2 and 3 were cool, but middle episodes in a bookend.
As I got older, it got to a point of, okay, after going to theater, I would say, like, I'm buying this movie. It's so good, I'm buying it.
Theater. He said it all like fancy.
Theater.
To the movie. So, like,
I drive a Chevrolet movie theater.
yeah.
Interior crocodile alligator.
Do you know why I don't drive a Ford?
So, like, yeah, my current Blu-ray collection is...
Blu-ray?
Correction?
Sorry,
Blu-ray
yeah.
correction?
Sorry.
Is that when it's scratched and you have to...
No. No. So my current collection is Fast and Furious and John Wick. Like,
That's it?
I have
movies that I'm going to buy. Yeah.
The funny thing is, I have the complete Fast and the Furious DVD collection, but it only goes up to 7 and it's in the tire.
That's canonically correct.
Okay, because anything past that, right?
Anything past that should be disregarded.
Oh, okay. They like actually, that's funny.
I was like, yeah, we're missing 3 movies.
Oh my god.
All right.
I also have like Rush Hour as the complete collection of Rush
yeah,
Hour.
those are good. Yeah. Anyway.
So James says, with graphics being as real as they are and ray tracing only needing efficiency tuning, the 4090 can do ray tracing and do 4K the way other gen cards did 1080p. Admitting optimization problems Rush games have, do you think games could get any more realistic with graphics, textures, and ray tracing that the 4090 wouldn't be able to handle? Yeah, of course.
Yes, very easy actually. Ray tracing, I don't know why this person. Okay, well, I'm not gonna say it that way. I would say ray tracing is nowhere near its final form. A lot of what you're seeing with ray tracing in current games is single bounce, if that, or not even a single bounce.
You cannot even calculate the amount of bounces you're seeing in real life.
Yeah, because it's infinite.
Yes,
but the actually recent example is Cyberpunk RT Overdrive mode, which now calculates I think 1 or 2 bounces for the ambient lighting and stuff.
Right.
And so that tells me that their old RT lighting was no bounce. So there's tons of ways where you can actually get a lot better fidelity out of RT. It's really easy to drive the performance super fast down because, again, if you look at like an RT movie frame, right, like an actual CGI frame from a movie, that's going to take like a render farm an hour or 2 to render. A single computer, like a desktop high-end computer at home, will probably take a week or a month to render one of those frames or whatever. And it's the same math. It's just more of it.
Yeah.
You know, and so there's tons. In fact, modern ray tracing actually does not, like, even if you're not running DLSS and you're actually running something in native res, it's not shooting out 4K rays by 2160
No,
rays.
the rays are downsampled.
Rays are significantly downsampled, and even more. And then the actual reason that Nvidia was able to do real-time ray tracing when the 20 series came out was not that ray tracing tech got good. It was that denoising tech got good. Because now you can run a scene with a crap ton of like a really crappy ray amount. Where like if it wasn't denoised, it would literally, you would like not know what you're looking at. It would look like TV static. But then the denoisers got so good that
This question really makes it sound like, do you think there's anywhere to go forward in GPU graphics?
Yeah, there always is.
There's always a way. Yeah.
Of course. Yeah. I just think.
And I honestly, it's like a little tangent. But
you have to look backwards to see what forwards could look like.
And I kind of like, even though I'm a huge ray tracing snob, there was a recent.
He really is, by the way.
Yeah. There was a recent tweet where somebody had posted a screenshot from Fear, 2005 Fear, and it had the caustics from the water on the ground, like bouncing off the walls. And they were like, yo, this was in 2005. And to me, what that like kind of blew my mind was that like the actual gamer does not care how that caustic gets on the wall. Because they were freaking out at those graphics, whereas that was just an animated movie playing on the wall of a fake caustic. You know what I mean? Whereas if you did it today with a ray tracing card, it would actually simulate how the light comes into the water, refracts, bounces off, and then hits the wall, and then bounces off to the camera. Like that's what ray tracing is. But they weren't doing any of that in 2005 because it was just like a pipe dream to even think that you could do it in real time. And so like, but it still tripped the people out. Like Fear was a good looking game in 2005, and it shows that like these buzzwords are not necessarily an instant. This game looks amazing. You know what I mean? It is just a technology. It's just
one of the things I'm really unhappy with current RT, especially with DLSS, is there's a lot of glinting in a lot of games. That wasn't the case earlier on.
I think because, like I said, how you know we were talking about the Razer being really undersampled.
Right.
I think they're undersampling it more now that they know their denoisers are getting better, but you still get those artifacts.
If anyone here has played Hogwarts Legacy with RT on,
Oh yeah, go to a door in the castle
And you'll
that
be
leads to
blinded.
outside. Yeah.
oh my god, you are just, it is so bad looking.
Which is funny because in real life, it would also be blinding if you were seeing the sun reflect off marble under a door. You know, like some doors have crappy, like the seal. Right. You
Yeah.
can see a little bit of
But
sunlight.
what you also get as you're turning and looking around, is just glinting everywhere, and that's like almost like RT artifacting at that point.
I never saw that.
It's
much.
bad on my machine. It was really bad.
I wonder if you had a
might-
a driver
I
issue.
think it might be. I don't know if it's exactly artifacting because I experienced something like that in Modern Warfare 2. In certain sections, the sunlight glare will get stuck on your screen.
That's funny.
But so like when you're going like it was like a couple way early Modern Warfare, but sometimes like going from indoor to outdoor or turning on my nods, like you get like some stuck like glare that's stuck on your screen for some
like a
reason,
glitch.
and it rotates with you like,
that's
and it still kind of like calculates the glare or whatever, but it just stays in that corner of the screen, and it'll phase out eventually. But it was an issue that happened 3 or 4 times tops on my end. So.
And this is the kind of stuff that you can expect as tech like RT starts becoming more widespread. You know. Anyway, the last one comes from Peanut. Again, you guys remember Peanut a few weeks back? Didn't leave his name again. But he gave a question I thought was interesting. He says, was wondering if you guys have a franchise, series, or single media that you're obsessed with. I know Jay used to watch Goonies a ton. For me, I've always been a huge fan of Ben 10. Don't know what that is. Currently been obsessing over Avatar Last Airbender for the past few years.
my cabbages.
I already said this on the stream. For me, I'm The Office.
Yep.
Like in terms of a watchable show, it is only the second show in my brain that I can recite basically every episode, word for word, from beginning to end. The other one I could do is I Love Lucy, which is just a weird, I grew up with that show with my family watching all the time and it just stuck.
Yeah.
This I've made a conscious effort to whenever I hit the end of the series, I just go right back to play again and start through. For instance, I just started it last week again. I think I'm in the 19th or 20th time through. I'm already on season 3, episode 4.
Jesus.
So
Nice.
it's like, it's just always on, you know?
Isn't that so nice though when you can find that piece of media that does that?
It's my happy place.
I think I would say the Mass Effect universe is probably that for me. That's probably the thing that or Battlestar Galactica that I come back to the most, but usually Mass Effect just because it's a game, so it's a little bit more like interactive and like the story kind of hits me a little bit better in my head, you know what I mean? Because of the fact that they were my decisions and my actions through the thing.
Right.
Yeah. No, yeah, Mass Effect for sure.
I'd say for me it's Gundams, like
Just the cartoons and the models
anime
and stuff.
and the models. But
See, I always thought like you
There's
were
so
a
many
weeb, but I didn't know that you actually.
But that definitely
did
was
watch it.
after like
Makes
my
sense.
childhood / teenager era because I never even heard of Gundams when I was young.
It's
that
funny,
was definitely
though.
my childhood era.
Okay.
It's funny though. I know a lot of Gen X. Well, they're Asian, so that's probably why. But
Could have
Gen X
an impact.
Gen X generationally didn't really like. It's not like you guys weren't anime fans. I think it just wasn't out there yet. But the ones that were fans are still like the same as today. I think.
I was not into anime. Period. Like I never watched Pokemon or any of the not Last Airbender, but Avatar, any of that stuff.
I think the Jay's age one would have been Macross.
Okay,
Like
I take that back. The closest thing.
Macross and Voltron are like
That was what I was saying.
all
Okay.
I heard the Gen X
I take
kids,
it back
yeah.
because Voltron,
You know,
Okay, yeah, see?
Transformers.
Yeah.
Although Transformers was anime, it was just animation. It wasn't
Well, it's
Japanese
an American anime, basically.
Right.
Yeah. Transformers is basically an American anime.
USDM anime.
Thundercats,
Yeah,
I've
see?
seen like
He-Man,
You were
Okay.
sort of close. You were
Yeah, yeah.
adjacent to the genre.
but they weren't. But it wasn't Japanese anime. It was just animation. It wasn't in the Japanese anime style. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think-
Wait, I thought Voltron was. Wait, is Voltron American?
I'm not too sure.
don't
Voltron
remember.
was probably like right in the middle. Honestly,
I don't. Yeah, but I wonder who like.
I had all the toys and
Because I only got introduced into Gundam just because like it was the only thing showing at my grandma's
Snarf.
house at the time.
Snarf.
Oh gosh, I remember that.
Snarf.
Yeah, Voltron's an adaptation of several Japanese anime television shows. Oh, also it's like they did the Power Rangers.
Snarf.
They did the Power
Snarf,
Rangers
snarf.
/ Most Extreme Challenge thing.
Oh, MXC.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's not anime.
No, but
No,
they
no,
repurposed an anime to
Oh.
do something. Or
I see.
Like yeah.
Go,
So
get
Voltron was based off
eliminated.
of. Voltron is sorry. I love
I love their little intros. I have a yeast infection. And off they go. It's just
Back to you, Ken.
Guy Ledouche.
the
Yeah,
JDM shows that Voltron is comprised of is Beast King Go Lion and Armored Fleet Die Ruger X 25.
That sounds about right.
Were Well, let's open Japan and making like series that like go to like freaking 50. Like, how are we on Final Fantasy 16? You'd think that it would have been the last one because of the name.
It was supposed to be the last one, but then it did so well they made it not the last one.
I don't. Could you imagine that was actually the
We're all
storyline?
we're all losing our jobs. Let's make one hell of a game.
Yeah.
Hey guys, we still have a job. Let's make another one.
Hey, hear me out. Let's redo Final Fantasy 7, but change up the timeline a little bit.
That's funny.
Another game I have never played.
Final Fantasy, any of them?
Any of them.
At least the cool thing is that because they're all self-contained stories, you could pick any of them and play them. Yeah.
You don't have to drop it as a certain part of the series.
They need to make a Black Mirror game. That'd be fun.
Yeah, it's just,
We're in it.
Oh,
yeah. Here's my console for that game.
I guess
Also this
technically
console.
you're in it.
I guess technically with my core group and I on Twitch playing Outlast Trials and now getting through almost all of them because there's 5 trials within a trial. And they get harder and harder, and we've gone through almost all of them now. We're into Project X now. It definitely feels like I'm playing Black Mirror meets Saw.
Yeah, that is the vibe that game gave me. Yeah.
It's definitely intense. But what else is intense is the fact that we have to go ahead and go now, guys. It's time to go. That's loud. Oh my cow. Wow, levels, Jay.
Maybe you were quiet.
Maybe.
Are you guys becoming me?
I don't know.
We're talking about this.
Right, guys.
Am I becoming you?
Thanks for
What's
watching.
going
You'd
on?
like that, wouldn't you?
Thanks for watching.
I don't know.
The show, guys.
I wouldn't.
We'll see you next week. And this is Nick's loudest voice possible. And yeah.
I have to turn this down, huh?
Okay, bye.
Don't forget, guys, we do have merch and stuff. We have some new t-shirts coming. They're going to be retro style and whatnot.
And,
But
sick freaking gaming mat.
got those. They're JayzTwoCents.com. But anyway, all right, guys, thanks for watching. And as always, we'll see you in the next one. Oh, don't forget you're subscribed because we're doing shorts and stuff now. So, okay, bye.
Bye.
Jay's shorts.